You know, when I look around at all the entrepreneurs who are grinding it out, spending 70 to 80 hours per week growing their business, you have to ask yourself the question, at what cost? Hi, my name's Tim Uchuk, and in this podcast, we're going to be exploring the tools, tactics, and strategies for crushing it and scaling your business without making the ultimate sacrifice of your time and freedom. Hey, what's up everyone? Tim Uchuk here. You're going to hear some rattling behind me. I am coming to you from Edmonton, Alberta, where I'm here for half the week, just visiting our offices, and I had a doctor's appointment yesterday, had a CT scan for an old hockey injury, which is very Canadian of me. Anyways, I am driving, the rattling behind me is I'm driving a Ford Sprinter, which is carrying a new product that we're launching in our business. And rather than rent a car, I thought I would advertise. It's all deckled out for this new van racking product line that we're launching across Canada this year. So if you hear a little bit of rattling behind me, that's what that is about. I am just driving a big Ford Sprinter with some really loud, obnoxious decals on it. Spread the word. So I want to talk to you guys really quick. On my way downtown, thought I would record a quick podcast for you, something that's top of mind. This is a challenge that comes up all the time, in our coaching calls within businesses of entrepreneurs that I talk to, and that is executing. It's just getting stuff done, and not just stuff, but the right stuff, and putting the wrong stuff aside, putting it on ice, and focusing on really the most important things and getting them done. I wanted to share a quick story with you, which this is kind of one of those epiphany stories where I had like one of those big aha moments and shifted everything in my business in terms of how I literally think about everything. And the story, some of you guys might be familiar, but it goes back to the problem I was trying to solve was just that. I was struggling with doing everything myself, doing everybody's thinking for them. I just felt like, using the rowing analogy, that I had to pull on all the oars and all the monkeys were on my shoulders. Really, really frustrating and not a good place to be in. So my epiphany, where everything shifted for me, there was a trip that I took to Washington where, long story short, I met with a bunch of top project management leads from some of the biggest companies that you would know, like John Deere, Boeing, some heavy hitters. And we were looking and talking about the structure of hyper-productive self-managed teams. And so we were in a garage and we were building a car. So we were not just kind of theorizing, talking about this stuff. We were actually using it and experiencing it. And sometimes experience is the best teacher. And so I want to just describe to you, and this will make sense to your business in terms of how I had this huge epiphany. And so we're in this garage, we're building this car. It's day one. I've never built a car before, nor had most of the strangers who were going through this experience with me. And this is the interesting thing. So in a nutshell, really to oversimplify it, the framework that we looked at was, let's look at all of the major components that make up a car. And so what we had done essentially was we bought an old, I think it was an old Honda Civic off of like Craigslist, so we could strip out the engine major components. We had prefabbed the frame, and we had prefabbed like all of the harnesses were already done and everything. So it's not like we were starting from scratch. The major components were, for the most part, there, and it was really just to kind of help us learn this process. But in order to build a car, this is really logical, right? There's only one way and one place that the steering column can go. There's only one way, one orientation that you can assemble and get the wheels, so the wheels are going to work, so that you can steer, so that you can brake, so that you can accelerate. There's only one way, if you want to do it safely and effectively, to pull that stuff off. And so if you look at the components, there's some major components that make up a car, right? You've got the engine would be one major component, the electrical could be another, and so on. So break it into 8 or 10 major components. Within each of those components, So we've said, okay, here's a car, it's made up of these 8 things. Within each of those, you've got success criteria, and by that I mean like if the wheels have to go here, they have to be tightened to this specification, and there's just a list of success criteria that if you just follow this list, you're going to end up with a car. You're going to end up, and you do that for each of the modules, right? And lo and behold, we broke and we divided and conquered. Everybody tackled one of the modules, and we just went through the list. It's okay. We need to get the engine dropped into the front. Here's the success criteria. Here's what needs to happen. There's pictures to say like, okay, here's the orientation. Here are the hookups, and it's just like check, 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 check. And when it's laid out in this way, your brain is able to grasp and simplify what really needs to be done. So you've got your big overall things that need to be built, and within that there's little things that contribute to the big things, if that makes sense. Within the context of your business, why am I telling you this story? Well, most businesses and people get into the habit and the rhythm and routine of, because they don't have like specific instruction to say like, okay, at the end of this, you're going to have a car, something really tangible. It's like, this is what it looks like when it's done. Most businesses lack this, and as a result, a lot of the stuff that gets done, you've got your day-to-day operations, and then you've got like projects, stuff that your teams might be working on to improve the business, solve problems and stuff like that. In the absence of clarity is two things happen. One is people just keep themselves busy, just working on stuff and filling the day. Most of that stuff, the second thing, is going to be the path of least resistance or low friction stuff that they tend to like doing. And so at the end of it, if using the metaphor of the car, you'll often just end up with bits and pieces of stuff that are not all necessarily contributing to where you need to go in your business. So this, long story short, just to wrap this up, if that makes sense, you've got a car, it's made up of these things. Each one of these has, if you follow these things, you're going to end up with a car, using that analogy. Now let's look at your business. So look at all of your departments. You've got your sales, you've got your marketing, all of the different areas that comprise your business. Think of those as, those are your modules. All of your business is the car. Your sales and marketing, that's your engine. So think about, what is the success criteria that indicates a healthy sales machine? Well, the activities that precede a sale, what are those? And reverse engineer, if you need to make, $1 million a month or whatever, what are the things that lead to that $1 million a month? And the success criteria might be, it might be meetings, getting in front of customers. And so it's number of meetings. Then you look at your conversion rate. What's your conversion rate? Is it 40%? So 4 out of 10 of our meetings. And then you can literally reverse engineer this stuff and make it almost scientific, where if we do these things, we've got a very, very strong likelihood that the outcome will be what we want. And that's essentially like looking at your business in that way and breaking down each of your departments, determining what are the success criteria that are going to lead to a healthy outcome. So the health of your cash flow. What are the things that lead to that? One of them is your receivables, and your inventory, right? Your inventory turns, your receivables. What percentage of your receivables are outside of 90 days? For us, this week, I know it's 1.5%. And if it's underneath 5% of our receivables are outside of 90 days, I know that our cash flow is going to be healthy. And so again, if we want like if our business is a machine or a car, I know that department, in a very measurable way, what healthy looks like. And that's the success criteria, and we track it over time, every single week. We just look at it that way. And so all of the departments in your business, think of them as like these modules, like the components of a car. And what are the things that need to be in place in order to make that car run well? So sales department, pretty obvious. It might be different in your business, but what leads to the sale? It's a proposal. And your conversion rate today is going to be what it is. And if it's 10%, what can you do? This is where the scientific method comes in. So if it's 10% today, how can we get it to 11% next week? 12% the week after, and it just becomes an optimization game. But thinking about your business in this way, making it measurable, and then tying these objectives throughout your departments to the teams to say, your sales manager, for example, this is what a healthy sales department looks like, and track and measure it on a weekly basis. And if it's within alignment of where you need to be, then great, keep doing that. Keep looking, measuring, and reporting every week. If it's not, that's the stuff you need to be working on. All of your activities should be very intentional to get that back within alignment so that you've got a healthy machine. And it's really like, we don't need to overcomplicate it any more than that. Where do we want to be? What does healthy look like? Break it down within each of the units within your business. Make it measurable, specific and measurable. And then you should, the step here is to distribute the ownership, to say, sales manager, you own this part of the car, and these wheels aren't gonna move unless these numbers and all of these success criteria are within alignment here. So it's just a different way of thinking. I hope that metaphor is useful for you. It certainly helped us to bring clarity in terms of what is important, what should we be focusing on across our business units, so that our business can run and function like a well-oiled machine. So I hope that's useful. I'm down now. Thanks for putting up with the rattles and the bangs, and I'm going to finish up the rest of my day. Hope that was useful, and I will talk to you guys soon. Hey, Tim Uchuk here, and real quick, if you enjoyed this podcast episode, if you could take a couple quick seconds to give it a rating, it would be very much appreciated. And secondly, if you're looking for more tools and strategies on how you can crush it in life and business, just head on over to bookwithtim.com, where I've put together a free case study which shows you how to unlock unprecedented freedom today by using the 2 power levers. Just head on over to bookwithtim.com. Until next time, wishing you success and freedom in your business. Cheers.